So I'm just going through and taking the minor section, and if we just refer back to the wave strategy, that is where I'm just taking that finer section that's no wider than the wand.
And how do you prep the hair before you start curling?
So depends, it would always come down to the client's hair texture. So if they've got fine hair, thick hair, thin hair, curly hair, frizzy hair, oily hair, and then I would prep it depending on the client's inspo pick as well. So for this particular style, I would go through and say, for example, if she had fine hair, I'd go through and pop a mousse, like a styling, no, sorry, not a styling mousse, a blow dry primer, just to go through and give the ends like a little bit of grit. The milkshake is the brand that I use for that. And then I would go through and blow dry some liquid texture white sand spray in there.
Best.
Used that before?
Best product.
Oh, it's freaking amazing, isn't it? I was like, who's used it? Who's used it? No.
Me.
I haven't. What liquid texture?
Yeah.
White sands.
White sand
Thank you.
texture. Can you see that?
I
Yes.
used to use that on my daughter's curls when I'd set her hair for dancing, and her hair would stay for about 3 days.
Forever. It's so good.
Oh, I don't get it.
Would not recommend to do it like and curl the hair directly as it's wet, but it is a heat protectant. But I definitely recommend to blow dry it in a little bit more.
Sorry, what's it called again?
White liquid texture white sands. Can you see that?
Perfect. Yep. Thank you.
And the medium one is really, really strong. You don't necessarily need to go to the
Would not.
strong.
No, do not do the is it the strong? Yeah, strong is.
Yeah, strong, yeah.
Oof, you wouldn't even
Get the green lid, not the gold one.
You'll be heartbroken. Perfect.
Okay, green lid.
But yeah, so for fine hair, I would go through and use a blow dry primer, and then I would spray that, throughout the section, and then just blow dry it in, just to give it a bit more grit, especially for Hollywood waves. You definitely want some grit through the hair, because the grit and the texture in the ends is what helps the wave hold, so it doesn't separate into curls as quickly. Okay, so then we have, what would I use for thick hair? I wouldn't use the blow dry primer as much. I would still use a heat protectant spray. But if the client had really, really long hair that was like minimal layers and really, really long layers, I would still use the liquid sands.
Okay.
I'm not going to use that right now because she's got enough product in her hair. I'm going to go through and prep the section. So you can see here that I've still only got it as wide as the wand. And by prepping it, I'm just going through and smoothing out the knots. And then as I'm smoothing out the knots, I'm still pulling it out on like a 45-degree angle from the hair. And for this back section, you can see here that I've still continued the curls on that 45-degree angle. So I'm going to continue with that same pattern around the crown. So you can see I'm going in on an over direction, and then I'm pulling it out a little bit, and then with flat wrapping, just wrapping around. And I do use a little scissor finger technique, which just helps with the curl to ensure that it doesn't twist like whilst you're wrapping it. And I'm just gently patting here to make sure the hair doesn't get too burnt, or the client.
What thickness was the wand you used?
I'm using a 25 mil. So this
25.
is the cloud one, this one.
Okay, thanks.
For your finer hair, or like your fine long hair, or just like in general, I would always use like a 19 mil, depending on the hair inspo pick. So if their client wanted, I'm sorry guys, I'm just going back in on that same angle, the 45-degree, and flat wrapping. If your client wanted, client wanted really, really tight waves, then I would definitely use a 19 mil. And by tight wave, I mean like the wave is starting quite high up. If a client was wanting like a super soft wave and they had long hair, then I would use it like this one. But I still find that if the client's got no layers and long hair, because the long layers drag and it drops, and then you'll probably find that. Do you find that's probably like what's the type of hair that you struggle with, Jess?
Well, I always, this is probably bad, I always use a 25 mil, either a curling wand or a GHD to curl hair. But I didn't know about this liquid texture white sand, so that's good to know. I just find that I last, they drop really quick.
And
it's for thicker hair, clients with thicker hair, not much layers. I don't have many with fine hair.
Yeah, so the thick hair and the long layers, like minimal layers, and if it's natural hair, you'll find that will drop out a lot quicker as well, because natural hair, like healthy hair, is heavy hair. So bleached blonde hair, like you'll probably find that holds a lot better than like in a curl than somebody who sat in a chair that's got natural brown hair and it's like down to their waist.
Okay, I've got bleached hair and it doesn't hold a curl.
Your hair, what's your hair texture like?
But it's pretty healthy. So hairdressers always say my hair's fine, but I have a lot of it. They always can't believe how much color it takes when they have to color it. They're like, you've got so much hair, but it's so fine. I'm like, I know.
Thank you. Wonderful, guys. So I'm just going through here. Can everybody see that okay? I'm still just going through and doing the 45-degree angle. And
Hi,
Yeah.
Taylor.
Sorry.
Can I ask, if your client has wavy to curly hair, would you straighten it first before doing the Hollywood waves?
what was that? Sorry, say it again.
If your client has curly to wavy hair, would you straighten the hair out first?
Oh, that's a good question. I actually, depending on the client's hair and their hair layers, like as in if it would bounce, I actually opt for an iron. So I find like with an iron, and I'm curling with an iron, I actually have more control over smoothing out the sections like through the crown and then creating that wave where I want it to, if that makes sense. Because I know what you mean. You want to get right to the root with a curl, like the iron, to smooth that curl out.
Mm-hmm.
And then you could definitely go through and straighten the root section, I would, and then go through and curl the ends with the wand if you wanted to go for the wand wave. But yeah, I think for me that always comes down to the client's hair and like if they've got super thick hair or if it's really fine hair, and if it won't hold a wave, then I will opt for the wand. But if it's that magical hair texture that like holds the wave perfectly, you know, the hair like often it's quite like this length and it's got layers in there and it's like the brown like naturally curly hair, and you can curl that with an iron and it just seems to like magically curl perfectly.
Mhm.
Do we all know that type of hair?
Oh yeah.
Perfect. So this is super important for this brushing out the back section here. I did have a lady who emailed during the week. I'm not sure if she's going to be jumping on here today, but she was saying how her wave, whenever she curls up here, it doesn't seem to be even, like where it falls. And the reason for that is because quite often it's because the curling section hasn't continued, like I want to say consistent, but I feel like I've said that so much today. It hasn't stayed consistent throughout the crown section, and by consistent I mean following the same curl pattern. So I just want to show you.
Sorry, just a quick question.
Yeah.
Are you holding the wand not parallel to the floor, but at a 45-degree angle to the floor? Or I just couldn't quite see it clearly.
Oh, okay. So not to the floor. So I would say if I'm behind the hair section like this and it's straight, by 45 degrees, I would say I'm referring to this direction here. So can you see that?
Yep, gotcha.
Yeah, so it's like if that's the direction, the vertical, the horizontal section there.
Yeah, so it's not horizontal, not vertical, but like diagonal.
Diagonal, so it's 45 degrees between vertical and elongated, or horizontal.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yeah.
So is the section like on top of the next one? It's not 45 degrees on top of it. Does that make sense?
So
when you section it, you're like, I was thinking that you were sectioning it like almost halfway between to create a 45-degree angle, but I don't know, I'm trying to explain it. So you section it directly above, but when you curl, it has to be at that 45-degree angle.
yeah, I see what you're saying. So you're like, if my sections were on a 45-degree angle as well.
Yeah, and 45 degrees to the curl from the bottom, so not directly above it. So is it 45 degrees like diagonal from the next one? Like it's not, I don't know, explain. I wish I could draw it, but yeah.
No, that's okay. So you mean like 45 degrees from here, like this last one that I've
Yeah, so I was thinking, so I can see now you're going directly above it. You're not going 45 degrees away from it.
No. So I'm literally just following that same pattern.
Okay.
And to be fair, I don't actually follow the same individual sections like that because I work it around like the hair that's available, if that makes sense. So because the curve of the head goes up, obviously that section here is a lot shorter than or smaller than the bottom here. So it will always change. And I do highly recommend that you never do the wave directly, like almost like tracking it, because then you will see that in your wave. So you kind of want to like see how this section overlaps that section there.
Mm-hmm.
Can you see? Yeah. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does answer my question. Thank you. I just feel like I've just been winging it. I don't know what I'm like. Yeah.
Right.
But no, but this is giving light bulb moments. So thanks for that.
Oh my goodness, I love that so much. Oh, that's amazing. Okay. No, don't worry. I've also been there. And I think the reason that I was exactly where you are now is the reason why I'm here doing this is because I was exactly where you were. And I actually reached out to one of my friends and asked her for help. She was amazing at her Hollywood waves. And she just did not want to expand her knowledge or let it, share the knowledge. So it really kind of broken my heart, but here we are, and now I'm here with you. Perfect. So
Okay, right. At the moment, are all your curls going in the same direction? You haven't they're all going in one direction at the minute. You haven't done the other side, is that right?
Yeah, no, I haven't done the other side. I'll leave that for last so I can show you the difference.
And is it just literally that side of the face that you're going to do in the other direction? So basically the other side and the back is all one direction and then the other just small section is the other way?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, and the reason why I do that is only specifically for this lady who she's decided she's having a middle party. And if a client were to be having, for example, a Hollywood wave, we'll just spin her around. So, for example, if she was having a Hollywood wave, and the Hollywood wave was coming over this side, I would continue having, I would continue the same curling section through the side here. And the reason for that is because we'd be pulling the hair back because the traditional, the red carpet look always has side pin back and then the hair over here. But for this look, she's going for the hair coming down forward. So we want that look coming away from the face. Yeah, the reason why I do change the curling section is because we want that look coming away from the face. If we continued down the same sectioning pattern, then the hair would be coming onto the face this side, but then away from the face on that side. If that makes sense.
Yeah, so as you were saying, so for the traditional one where you got the free, so does that go all in the same direction?
Only for, so
the other style?
Yeah, for if your client had, well, it could, so over direction, if your client had left parting, so the hair going over to the left, and then you could do an over direction that way, but it would mean the wave would be coming onto the face. So that is a traditional like red carpet look. You do see that, like where the finger wave is, the Hollywood wave is coming to the face line. But it does depend because it's quite popular now to have the waves coming away from the face versus coming onto the face. And also big thing to look out for is if your client has short layers around the face, because if you've got a client that's got short layers around the face and then they've got the wave coming onto the face, and all it's going to do is the fringe is just going to fall into the client's face line. So it's probably not ideal. You know what I mean? So that way, if you've got that going away from the face, you can kind of like structure it into the longer hair lengths.
Perfect.
That makes sense?
Yep. Thank you.
That's all right. All right, so again, we're just going to go through and I'm going to pull it 90 degrees out from the scalp, and then I'm going to be curling on that 45-degree angle. And I'm still basically following that same section pattern. Does anyone have any trouble trying to section out this top crown section when they're curling?
I have got
Yes.
problem with directing it properly because it's the top, it just doesn't, automatically fall with the rest of the hair. And I find that it wants to go either sideways or it wants to go just like not how I intended to be. I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah. Would you say that's because, like, when you're sectioning through the top section, do you section here? So from the crown section down, do you section where you would pull the hair back from?
No, actually, I started doing it differently. I do a diagonal section so from, say, the corner of the brow into the very top, like, of the head.
Yep.
So that I have got more or less similar volume on both sides.
Mm-hmm. So
and it just kind of falls a little bit better, but then when I curl that top triangle, it does not always flow with the rest.
you might find, so you're saying you come back from this angle here and then back to there?
Yes.
So when you come back here, how far back do you go?
Not very far, just like your where your dolly has got like yep.
And then when you're curling this section, what angle do you
Going back. So I usually curl it like all the way like back towards the back. So following the like the nape of the back of the head. So that the same kind of pattern.
Yeah.
But
So you curl backwards like this?
Yeah.
Yeah, and do you call our curl the same direction that way and then a different direction, but all the same from the middle that way?
So I kind of usually start curling from the top, actually.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So I start curling from the top, start with the bigger section and going towards the smaller section. Does that make sense? And so all in one direction.
Oh, yeah, I'm trying to figure out why. It's hard to say, like hard to see.
Yeah, without
like watching you, but yeah, I'm trying to imagine if it would be, because basically the biggest problem I see here when the wave doesn't fall down properly is because this section, it starts to narrow and people start to change up their
the sizes of it.
yeah. So this is quite important. But yeah, so I'm wondering if that has if that is affecting it, especially if you're saying you're going through and doing that section first, did you say? And then you move back.
Yep, that's it. And so all in one direction, curling it all away from the face. And then the smaller bit, I will just tuck behind the ear and pin.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, so you tuck the other side through there and then you...
Yep.
Oh, you'd have to send me a photo so I can have a look at it and...
Okay.
Yeah, because once I have a look at it, I'll be able to have a bit more of an idea. It's a bit hard to visualize it.
No, of course.
But yeah, send it through. So have you got me on Instagram or my email?
I will. Yeah, I've got the Instagram of the academy.
Yeah, if you send it through there, and then I can have a look.
Thank you.
That's all right. Cool. So through here, I'm just going on the same direction again. Same direction.
And also, where does your back area finish and where does the front start? So is it from ear to ear or from behind the ear to behind the ear or?
Yeah, so I always go from where I'm going to section the hair back from. So their crown, like if I'm going to go
Okay.
volume through there, I'll go from there down to just ever so slightly behind the ear.
Okay.
When I come to this section here, the pattern, I'm obviously curving with the curve of the head as well. So if I look at it from here, the back section, my angle's here, but by the time I get to this section, I am curling it slightly different, and I'm still following the same direction, if that makes sense. But I'm not following the last direction. I'm following the curve of the head. Does that make sense?
Not quite.
Okay, so here, for example, I'm curling on that same angle.
Yep.
I wouldn't stand where I am now and then curl from that same angle. I would turn the client around, so I'm still behind that section and curling on that direction.
So you're basically standing behind each individual section.
Yep, because the
Gotcha.
second that you stand here and you follow that same direction that you had here, you're all of a sudden doing an elongated curl. Your curl's going down to the
That's right.
floor. Yeah. But that could be a major, that is, yeah, again, with the crown section, it's very common. So yeah, always make sure you're standing directly behind the section, because when you're behind it, you're going to curl on that 45-degree angle. You're not going to be standing back here and curling on that elongated angle. Beautiful. So as we get to the top here, I'm always left with a bit of a triangle section, because you've got the curve of the head going this way, but then you've got the sectioning that I've created where I'm just going to a soft curve through the crown section. So what I would normally do is still split that up, following the same curve, but allowing for that top section to be split into two. If that makes sense? So I could split that into two, and then I'll split that into three. So there's no cutting corners here, guys, because this is the, I'm just trying to refer this to the money piece of the belly art. This is it. Wonderful. So again, I'm standing, just on a bit of an angle, standing behind my section, and I'm going 90 degrees from the scalp out, and I'm going under in the over direction curling method and wrapping it. Does everybody know what I mean when I say the scissor finger technique to wrap?
Yeah.
Yeah, it just helps to avoid that any twisting.
No, I don't know what that is.
Okay, so when I say the scissor finger, I'm basically, with the hair, I'm wrapping it around from between my thumb and my index finger, and then as the hair goes down, I'll show you. So I'm going thumb and my index finger, then it goes, sorry, I said that wrong. Between these two fingers, and then two fingers. So I'm rotating it between those two fingers as I curl, and that stops the hair from going like this. I'll show you. If I go like this and I'm not doing that, I can't do it now because I just always do it. If I just keep going like that, I've actually gone through and curled the hair. So you can see here the difference. So I've twisted it as I've curled it, and you can see that's more of like a spiral versus the flat.
Yes, I think I do that when I use a wand. It goes a bit spiral sometimes.
Yeah, so that will create a bit of a difference between your root section, which will probably more than likely always start out as a flat wrap, and then it would spin into here, I'll show you. So can you see the difference? Well, I don't know, it's only one there, but here, when you space that out, you get a bit more of that movement. But when you do that for here, oh, it's a bit too fine. It kind of gives it more of like a boho-y kind of texture. I don't know how to, yeah, in a larger
Yeah.
scale, you would see that.
Yeah, I understand. Makes sense because it's not as flat then.
Yeah, and it can
Twisted.
give a bit more of a, like, it gives a bit more movement in the curl itself. Yeah. Okay, cool. So we're going to go on to, I'm just going to recurl that bit again. What's everybody's struggles with curling? Let me answer some questions.
The curls are falling out and become too straight too soon.
What products do you use for it when you
Depends on the hair. I quite like liquid texture. If the hair is thick, I just load it up. If the hair is fine, I sometimes use a salt spray to give it a bit more grip.
Yeah. Do you have White Sands liquid texture?
I do, I love it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm like, because I thought I heard texture and I was like, I'm pretty sure that's what you meant. Oh, okay, just want to quickly let you know, the best thing that I do here is that I divide this section on an angle. So instead of curling it directly like that and cutting it in half, I actually do section this on an angle. And the reason for that is so it just sort of falls seamlessly over the top, just because this is the money piece and we don't want it to see that segregation through the back there. Does that make sense for everybody? Yeah, what hair textures do you find fall out?
Well, the healthy hair.
Yeah, virgin hair.
Glass like virgin baby hair, or especially children's hair. No matter what curl you do, sometimes I even use the skinniest one, which is like 10 mil, and it still will just fall flat so soon. It's just, yeah, before even I leave the house.
Oh no. I'm trying to think on kids' hair, it's definitely quite difficult for, because I think, well, I tend to try and use minimal products on their hair. But I'm just trying to think for virgin hair. I definitely always go really, really tight with my wand, and I always use the virgin hair. So when I've got really difficult hair that won't curl and it's virgin and it's long and minimal layers, just that really heavy hair that you look at and it falls out, I actually you're like, I know that one. I do really, really tiny sections. So I use my 19 mil and then I will go through and use really, really tiny sections. I would almost even say that I use, definitely thinner sections than this, because the thinner the section, I find that obviously the heat distribution, which then encourages the curl. What section, I would probably ask you what size sections you use, because
Not bigger than the wand, that's for sure.
oh, okay,
I always avoid using larger sections. I mean, I know that you can use them for some hairstyles, but for longevity, I always try to go as small as possible. But also keeping in mind that usually, especially on weddings, I have got an hour per person. So
yeah, you don't have that much time to sit there and do the really, really fine ones.
yeah.
My other suggestion would be do you use like a dry texture spray?
Yes, in the end.
Do you use a volume root powder through the roots?
I do, love it.
And do you use that softly throughout the mid-lengths?
The powder?
Yeah, the powder throughout.
Usually not through mid-lengths, actually.
What's that, sorry?
Usually I don't use the powder through mid-lengths, only into the roots for volume.
Yeah, so I actually, for those harder to, especially for my super, super textured up styles, I actually go wild on, I'm really hesitant to do it, but I'm always so happy that I do it when I overuse the texture dust, because especially with that hair that's not super dry or damaged, that hair I find really hard to create that grip within the hair. And
Yep.
I always actually use my this one through the mid lengths and ends. I'll show you today.
Pedoses?
Have you got this one?
Hang on. What is this brand?
It's KYK hair, and it's called, I think the light's not the greatest there, is
No,
it?
I can see that it's KYK.
Magic Dust Volume Powder. If you go onto my Instagram, I'll be like raging about this.
Okay. And how does it compare to Redken Power Grip?
Has that got a pump like this, or is it like one of those ones?
It is one without the pump.
Yeah, okay. So massive difference is this, look at that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Look at it. Like
Because I had a powder, I still have got it with a pump somewhere, but I find that it kind of makes it mushy, but not so much grip. So
Yeah.
it just
Yeah.
yeah.
So that's why I love this for the mid lengths as well.
Okay, that makes
Not,
sense.
it doesn't shake out and like ruin the hair where you can't ever go back. It's like like, have you used Moroccan oil, like this hairspray?
No, what's this?
Moroccan oil.
Moroccan oil. This is a type of hairspray that's like workable, where you can keep working at it, and it just literally it just won't. Yeah, I don't think you could ever overuse it, to be honest, because you can always brush it out and you can always work with it more. That's what this product's like.
Okay.
This product I would find, like, I used to have the NAC dust, and I used to go like,
Yes.
I could never ever use that anymore. Like, I was too scared to use it through the mid lengths and ends.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, whenever I'm texturizing the hair, I'll always spray the dry texture dust just through the ends, and then I will go through and do this through the roots. What do you call it? Like, tease it through the roots, through those sections, and then I actually go through and tassel it through there. We will get to that in a second. I'll show you. But yeah, I find this will definitely help with your virgin hair, or the hair that doesn't hold very well, because that obviously we need grit to help it hold that curl.
Thank you.
That's all right. I can send you an email for the. Oh, hang on. She's not.
I always have issues when, you know how you flip your hair over and you kind of create that, I don't know, that high volume at the front. I'm always scared to do that. So I always tend to keep it a little bit more on the flat end of that. It's more like trying to tease it and work with it. It's the final styling of just that bit that always scares me, just lifting up that front part.
Are you scared because why does that scare you? Is it because you're worried that you'll see the teasing underneath it, or because the client might be overwhelmed by the volume, or is it what do you?
I just don't think I struggle to create the volume, and I've seen in cases where people do it, it just looks like they've got out of bed and it's kind of like really naughty. Like, you don't want to look like you've got, like, what's it called, something about Mary happening, but with a bit of fluff, kind of. Sorry to be a bit comedic, I guess, with the description, but yes, I'm scared to create that, in all honesty.
Oh goodness, I know what you mean. I think have you had an experience where that's happened? Where you've been upset?
No, I think I've attempted it. I think just I can't create enough height. And it's just too low, and they say, I want higher volume. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's gonna look like a mountain. Yeah.
I mean, there are some clients that you just do what they want because they're never going to be happy. So you just keep doing that volume. But then I know what you mean, where is it because you're looking at the hair and thinking that that's too high, like it's not balanced?
No, I would actually like to create a little mountain, but I just feel like I can't create it. Like, when I do it, it's not high enough, but it's just like a little hill.
So I love how you're referring into like geography.
No.
So when you're saying
He wants Kosciuszko.
you're saying like this part over here, like as if she was going to have
Yeah, correct.
that bit there.
Yes.
So when you're curling that section, you're curling it specifically, like you've parted it and you're curling for that direction. Is that right? You haven't just curled it this way and then flipped it over?
I'm usually curling it the same direction of where the hair falls.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
When you do that, do you, the other thing I can suggest for over direction, like actually over direction,
Yeah.
but curling, if you're using the wand, going through and really working that hair out past,
Yeah.
like literally out past,
Oh,
and
okay.
then going, wrapping it over there, like
Yeah.
the other side of the section. Can you see that?
Yeah, I can see that.
And
Yeah.
then coming down like that. And the reason for that is because you're working the hair against its like the natural fall. And you'll see the difference in a second. Can you see
Yeah, I can
how
see
much
it.
volume she's got versus how much volume this one's got?
Yeah, you can see it.
That's
Yeah, yeah.
I've pulled them to, like, sitting on base is where the curl,
Yeah.
like the one sitting there, but when you go through and over direct it and really work that hair going,
Yeah.
and it's really important to make sure that you are doing it right onto the roots and getting that root section.
Okay. I was never doing that technique, that's for sure. I was kind of always told to curl like a little bit like a third away from it. Yeah. I wouldn't even, yeah, to just say that when you're, yeah, I was actually told to curl a third away from the top of the crown.
Oh,
Yeah. And then just tease it, you know, like a fluff.
it's a mind blown moment.
Yeah.
Is that to avoid burning them or what? Why?
Nah, not to avoid burning. I just didn't even see that technique before. That was just something new.
Okay.
Yeah, so when you like see how I'm moving really, really fast? Like I'm not on there, I'm not standing there going like that. I'm literally,
Yeah.
I don't know if you can see it, but I would say I'm almost starting just past, like not directly on the root. I'm almost curling as far as what I would be if I was there, but it's just over directed.
Yep.
Does that make sense? It's kind of like the amount of time that I would spend near the client's scalp would be very similar to the amount of time I'd spend in the client's scalp if I was doing an iron. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
All right. She's going to have one bouncy section now. I can't keep her down.
That will be your Kosciuszko.
Yeah. I'll remember you. Just ignore that bit. Oh my goodness. Now, when I get to the face line, guys, I always, my wand, like, does anybody have a cloud nine? I actually,
Have a mark.
my cloud nine just turns off on me like randomly, and then I'd be like, why is it not turning off? And it just doesn't even give you the heads up that it's turning off. It's just, you look at it and it's off. Okay, so when I get to the face line, I always use much more finer sections, especially if the client has longer layers around the face line. If they've got short layers around the face line, I tend to keep them pretty standard, the section. And the reason for that is because long layers won't bounce up as much, but short layers will. So you'll probably find that's why your clients have, whenever you're brushing out the wave, you'll find that the wave looks perfect around the face line and then there's like nothing at the back, and that's because the layers around the face line.
Less weight in them.
Yes, yeah. Always love the face line. Always brings me so much joy. I feel like the problem, the back area is always if there's ever going to be a problem, it's the back area.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm still continuing on that same 45-degree angle.
In humid climate, like in Singapore, would you recommend me using a working spray after each curl?
Yeah, and by working spray, do you mean, what one do you use?
The Moroccan oil.
Oh, yes, yeah. Yeah, I even would use this one after each curl, and this is the anti-humidity one.
Okay.
Have you used this one before?
No, I can't find it anywhere here.
Oh, that would be amazing for your hair texture. Like your,
Yeah.
yes, your, I feel like yeah, Asian hair is quite hard to like, especially when it's really long, to really hold that curl. And this is the product that you need.
Oh, I wish I can fly there now.
Oh, and there's nowhere that stocks it.
No,
Is this your job? Is this what you're
kind
doing?
of.
Maybe. Have you used the White Sands Infinity Spray?
The hairspray?
Yes.
No, I haven't. And that's only because I'm obsessed with Moroccan oil. Like,
Yeah.
don't, what is it? What's that saying? Like, don't break something. Oh, don't fix it if it's not broke or whatever it is.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the Infinity Spray is now broken because they just discontinued it.
Oh my goodness. And is it really good? Like,
Yeah, it was good.
amazing?
Yeah, it was great.
I noticed that Infinity hairspray actually colors the hair pink when used on blonde hair with a curling wand.
If you use a lot of heat on it, yeah, it will leave a pink mark.
Oh my
It
goodness.
is so strange because I was using exactly the same technique but with a different hairspray, and it didn't stain the hair, and it was a client's extension piece.
Oh, no. An
It
extension.
washes
Yeah.
A bit awkward.
It does wash out because I've done it to my own hair. I
Oh.
have platinum blonde hair.
Oh, I'm guilty.
No.
And then just like held it there for too long while I was talking to my daughter and it went pink.
Oh no. You're lucky you still have hair left.
Oh yeah, it just turned pink. Yeah.
New life on the edge. Okay, so now we've just come around to the client's right side, and I'm going to swap over my direction, and I'm going to go with an under direction, which is where the hair goes over underneath. And the reason for that is because I want to continue with that same away from the face vibe, and we want to avoid one side coming onto the face and the other side going off. So I'm just going to spin you. Can you see her there if I curl? Yep. So I'm again doing just smoothing out the section there, and then flipping. When I'm curling from the side on this angle, I tend to pull the hair a little further out. As you can see, I'm not right quite close to the root, and the reason for that is because I'll always burn myself if I go too close to the scalp straight away. I'm still continuing on that same 45-degree angle as what I was throughout those sections. It's just on a different direction. Does everybody understand the directions, the over direction and the under direction? Awesome. Again, 45-degree angle, just smoothing that section out.
Does it affect the volume though on this side? Because on the other side you were pretty much over directing the hair like, against the natural thing.
Yeah, I wasn't I wouldn't have normally done that, but I was doing that to show the volume. So yeah, but yes, that would happen. I would normally bring that further like down. Do you know what I mean? Because I was showing the over direction when I was like that, but yeah, normally I would have curled it just softly down like that.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? If that makes sense. But once I brush it out, you'll see there's actually not a whole lot of difference in that same direction. Yep. Does anyone else have any questions?
On virgin hair, would you think about pinning the curl to cool?
Yes, yep, definitely. Yes.
Yep.
yeah, for virgin hair and for long hair, I'll always pin the curl as I've done it. So for example, after this one, I would then go through and then pin there
Yeah.
with a pin curl.
Yeah.
It's so important to have that hair cool in the curled position,
Mm-hmm.
because even by having it like this, that will drop.
Yeah.
Especially for virgin or long hair.
Mm-hmm.
I even find when I'm like, if I'm doing ponytails and stuff and the client's got that type of hair that will fall out really quickly, I'll
Mm-hmm.
always go through and put the hair up first, and then I will curl the ponytail after, especially even for like half up, half down styles, because
Yeah. Yeah.
it always falls out and it's just so sad.
Yeah. I've got one client and her hair is just so hard to keep curling, and that's what I've been trying to do. Yeah.
Yeah. It kind
And definitely just recently did a ponytail for her, and she actually told me it lasted all day, which was great.
of, like, yes, that's so good. Oh my goodness, that's so good.
Yeah.
I love it. There's nothing more pleasing than when you hear that. You get that.
That's it.
You're like, nailed it.
That's it. Like, thank you, White Sands, and thank you. Yeah.
I know, especially when it's like a problem, like, you're aware of it as well. Like,
Yeah.
you know it's a, because we all want those clients that sit in the chair that have got that perfect hair, don't we?
Oh, wouldn't that be beautiful?
I know. So because on this side, we're not gonna go and curl up too high like this. I'm gonna go through and pull the hair down slightly just to go around the face line and start curling a little lower. Just so it balances out with the other side, because the other side's curl won't start as high.
If my client requests for a volumed crown, would you tease the crown first or curl first?
Yes, I would, for especially if your clients have got the Asian hair. Have most of your clients got Asian hair, or are they?
All Asian hair.
Yeah. So I would, especially because it's just so vulnerable, like, to dropping. And I find with Asian hair, the more you go through and tease it after you've curled it, you actually create a lot more frizz. And quite often, because Asian hair is really healthy, more often than not, because it's most likely natural, unless you've got somebody who's got super colored or dried bleached hair. It would be really hard to hold that curl. So you definitely want to avoid going through and texturizing, teasing it all like that. I would go through, if that was my client right now, I'd be going through and putting texture dust through the root section, and literally going through and doing this to every single curling section, smoothing out the top, and then going through and curling like that. I would do that for every section before I curl it with the wand. And the reason for that, it just going through and disrupting the curl too much. Do you find that drops really quickly?
Yes. And when I brush out, the volume eventually drops as well.
Yes, yeah. And is it because most of their hair is quite long and minimal layers? Or is it like, do you find that even for shorter hair clients?
I don't really have a problem with the length. It's just maybe the layers.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, like the layers, if they don't have layers, or?
If they have, like, because Asian hair is quite heavy as well. So when they have layers and when I'm curling, the hair starts to get off the curl. So I don't really get the consistent curl I would want. So usually I would have to spray each and every section with hairspray, and then I can curl so that it will stick together.
Yes, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I can understand that. I would, definitely. Did you say you use the texture spray in your, or
I
not?
use a working spray.
Yeah, the working spray, yeah. Yeah, I haven't used the working spray, so I'm not too sure on it. Do you know what that would be similar to, like another product?
No, I'm actually trying to find online, but it's either the shipping's crazy
From
or
I don't, I'm trying to think. I'll have to have a look at it and see what, but yeah, liquid texture is it's what you need in your life. Do you use like an anti-humidifying spray before you curl?
no, I don't.
Do you have a problem with hair that drops because of the humidity at all? Overall?
I cannot really tell what it is because it could be the hair itself because or it could just be the weather there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know, well, that's what I was like, because I know even for here in Perth, like when the weather, if it does get too like, what do you call it? Like it's humid here, the hair
Mhm.
definitely falls and it will go frizzy. The hair will go frizzy. So that's why I was thinking
Yeah.
you had like a humidity spray, put that on the hair first, then you had like your protectant or ideally the white sands, and I would also use hairspray on there before, to be honest,
Okay.
especially for the clients that don't their hair, yeah. But definitely go through and texturize the tease the root section and pop volume powder through the root section to really get that grit in. All right, so
Okay.
now we are going to go through and pop my favorite product ever through the hair. So when I'm going through and putting the dust through there, I always break it up because I want to make sure that the dust goes through evenly. So I'm just going to go through and spray it in there and tassel it about. And I even go just as far as the mid-lengths. I wouldn't go through the ends. Is everybody familiar with this product? Does everybody know what volume powder is?
Know what it
I
is, but I
tried.
haven't seen it in that brand.
Oh, so good. Have you got like, there's another one, Affiniage, I think, or something like that. They've got one that's similar, I think, like the puff. Perfect. So I just go
Can
through.
I just ask,
Yes.
with the products, are you only putting them, are you putting them in before and after curling, or?
So I haven't used much on her today before curling because she's got lots of product in it. But if I was doing it on a new client and she had really, really fine hair and it wasn't going to hold, I would definitely start with a blow dry primer like the Milkshake brand, and then a liquid texture on every single, like I would go through and break it up like that, and then I'd go through and put
Yeah.
it right in. And
Okay.
then I would go through and curl. But the other thing you could do for super not going to hold hair, I would go through after I've done this and actually go through and spray this even for again onto the hair, or you could go and I would just go through and spray the hair like after I've curled it like that as well. It depends
Okay.
because for different types of textured hair, you want to kind of balance it out for what the inspo pick is, if that makes sense. So for example, if a client wanted really, really tassel textured boho wave, but their hair was virgin, you would definitely you would have to throw so many products at that hair to like get that
Yeah.
versus a client that has dry and damaged blonde hair and wants a Hollywood wave, and she wants it to be seamlessly perfect and smooth and silky and all of the things. I would not be using a lot of those. I would be changing their products up, and I wouldn't be I would almost want to combat the dryness and still offer shine. Do you know what I mean? I wouldn't go through and put that much texture in there because otherwise you're only going to create more texture on dry and damaged hair, which already has that.
Yeah.
It kind of comes down
Okay.
the client, what the inspo clip is and what their hair is like. But
All right. Cool.
that makes sense. So
Yeah, definitely.
I don't have access to KYK hair products here as well, but would you suggest the Oasis?
I'm so
Oasis
sorry. Oh, what was it? What was the other option?
the Oasis powder
Oh,
cloud.
Oasis. Yeah, I think that's a very similar one. And that comes in like a pump. The only reason why I suggest the pump is because it just comes out so fine, and I just find it
Mm.
so workable versus the shake. The shake. Because does anybody, how many times have you been in that situation where you've gone like this and it's just gone
A
clunk
big
and done?
plunk.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
nothing or just, it is honestly, it ruins my soul. I'm like, oh, that's it, let's go home. Perfect. So I'm just going to go through and add a bit more of this through the ends because you can see how, like, you would not use that much if you had one of those shaking ones. Do you know what I mean? You just be a lot.
Yeah.
Perfect. So I'm just going to pull this up. Wonderful. So I always start brushing out with my wide tooth comb. I'm just going to actually come around the other side. And I'm just going to basically start working through the ends and up till the wave starts to form.
If anyone's not talking, can you mute yourself? Because when we hear you in the background, I can't see her on the screen.
Oh. Who's not, oh, there. Can you see me now? Maybe I should just keep talking. Okay, so all I'm doing here is I'm just brushing out the curl, and then you can just basically start to see that the wave's starting to form. Does anybody get unsure at this part? Does anybody struggle with this part?
Yeah, I find that once I start brushing it out on the back section, it just all comes out basically. It's just like a very slight kink in the hair. The front seemed to work fine, but the back, I don't know. I had a client on the weekend and it just dropped.
Does she have long hair, Chantel? And what products did you use?
It wasn't overly long. I actually I followed the KYK method that they posted on doing it. So I was spraying each section with the Get a Grip spray before curling it as well. And all the curls looked perfect they stayed all nice and curled. But as soon as I put a brush just to the back of it, it just dropped so much.
Do you think that, did you use a brush or did you use a wide tooth comb?
No, I use a wide tooth comb.
Did you, when you're brushing it out, so say for example, she's not a good example because she's got so much stuff in her hair, but if I was brushing out a client's hair and I lost the wave, like as in it wasn't bouncing back up and doing this, she's really behaving today, but that does happen. Quite often I have to almost force the wave. So I have to go through and like bounce it up and really encourage that wave to see how it starts to form, and then I go through and really bounce it up like that. See how it starts to.
Yeah, I see.
The more like structure you are like encouraging it. So there's already a massive difference in that versus what I was doing before.
Yeah.
But I would mainly focus. So I usually go through and do that, and then I would go through and section, spray and smooth. So basically every time I'm brushing the hair out, I'm working towards that shape. This is a super smooth look. Do you know what I mean? You've got like a super smooth Hollywood wave, but you can see how you've already got that movement happening. I'm wondering you on the weekend, if you started to sort of encourage and bounce that wave up, maybe you might have found it, because that does happen.
Okay.
Quite often you start to reach a moment of panic and you're like, it's all gone, it's never coming back, but you can revive it sometimes.
Okay, because I think you commented on the picture as well, like it was of the two sisters, and if you look, the front of her hair looks fab, but if you saw the back of it, it was shocking. She was super happy with it, but I wasn't.
Glad you were happy.
I was mortified.
Oh. I'll have a look. You send me some photos of the back so I can have a look.
I'll send you photos of the back, but don't judge.
I'm not judging. Wonderful. So as I'm brushing out this next section, I'm just kind of I'm not brushing it into there. This is, I'm just trying to guide it out and create that shape. And the reason for that is because I don't want to disturb the wave underneath. I just want to start too much. I just want to start molding that into there. It's a work in progress. How many times have you kept brushing and you were like, this is never going to happen, it's never going to happen, it's never going to happen? Like, has that happened to you? How many times?
Way too many times.
Way too many times? It happens to me, don't worry. And then I have to remind myself that it will happen, it will come, but it's just such a process.
Yeah, it always comes, but the nerve cells are irreplaceable.
I know. Oh my goodness, I know. I wonder if like the brides ever see us panicking in the back there, because I feel like it just goes,
No, you're wearing a mask.
oh yeah, true. We're not wearing a mask in Perth unless you go to hotels. But yeah.
I have it all in my eyes. My eyes just show it all the time.
They're like, I always feel like it's in my voice because I'm always like chatty because I've got a whole hour whilst I'm curling your hair, and then it gets to the end bit and I'm like, right, we just need quiet now. Wonderful. So I'm just still brushing it out a little further away from that undersection, just so I can work those waves out before. Can you see this? I'm trying to see if I'm in the way. Before moving into that bottom section.
If you're doing hair and makeup, would you curl the hair first and then you proceed with makeup and then brush it out later?
Yeah, yeah, so you would go through, curl the hair, pin it, and then brush it, or just not even pin it and just leave it and then just pin the hair back away from the face. I would definitely do that. The less, yeah, I guess like the longer, depending on the hair type, but the longer, how do I say this? The closest to the wedding ceremony that you can brush out the hair, the better the hair will stay perfectly in place, if that makes sense. Wonderful. Forgot to turn around. Sorry, guys.
Are you going to show how to create that lift?
The volume lift. Which volume lift?
At
Your
the front,
volume,
yeah.
Your volume lift? Yeah.
Thanks.
I haven't curled her the right way. So if I
That's
flip
okay.
her, I'll do it on one side. I'll do it on this side. I'll show you the volume, but it won't be all the way over, because if I curl over, it'll it won't blend.
Okay.
So I'm just going through and working out that wave. Does everybody use a wide tooth comb, or does everybody use a soft bristle brush to brush out their waves? Or do you use both?
I use both.
Yeah, no, I honestly, it comes down to the mood I'm in sometimes. The hair, like the different hair, like I find frizzy hair gets too frizzy if you use a soft bristle brush. So what does everybody struggle most with? Is it the
I struggle a lot with getting volume at the roots.
At the roots for all types of
Just
curls?
for all styles, not just curls, just for like lots of different styles, but I just can't seem to get it at the root.
Is that for when you're curling, or just like in a up style as well?
Bit of both, probably more so curling. Yeah, probably more so curling.
So when I'm going through, I will show you. Once I've gone through and done the brushing out the waves there, I go through and do the roots. Can you see that ankle? I think you can. She's got so much product in her hair. I'll then go through and popped the volume powder through the root section. And when you're teasing, do you pull the hair quite tight and
No, I probably could be firmer and use more product.
yeah, so super important to make sure you are using something that's quite gritty and don't be shy about how much product you're using at the roots, and then going through and compacting that root section right down. Can you see that? Is that lighting okay?
Is that the bristle brush that you're using?
This is a soft bristle brush, like a what do you call it? Teasing comb.
But it doesn't really get very far into the root, so you're kind of only tickling the surface.
Yeah, but look.
Okay, I have never used it for that.
So I know what do you normally use the like
Yes.
okay? Yeah, so I'll show you the difference. There's really not much difference, but I find like this one creates more volume in the width of the section versus here. If that makes, I don't know if you can see that, but can you see the difference in those two sections?
Is the first brush makes it fluffier
Fluffier?
at the root? I just can't quite see. She's blonde on the white wall.
I don't know. From what I'm seeing, it looks like the tail comb makes it more fluffier. Like I feel like the tail comb makes it more compact through there because you can really pack it right down to the root. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
But for, I don't know, I personally like this because for me, then I go through and brush out that top section and I don't find it's gonna mat up like that, if that makes sense. So I find that
I see, I get it. So because essentially the purple brush can't penetrate all the way through the hair, it only teases like the part that's closer to you, and then it's easier to smooth out the top. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. So can you see that difference between that section? I haven't even brushed that yet.
Okay. Yep.
Versus that section.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's the reason why I love this one, because you kind of work from behind the section and then it gives you that volume, but it's still
but a clean front. Yep.
Yeah. Perfect. So I'm just going through and creating that volume through there. I'm just smoothing that top layer out. Perfect. So when we get to the front, go through, create that powder at the root section still, and then I'm going through and I feel like this angle of the camera is not right. Can you see there if I'm going down? Just going through and compacting.
How do you hold the brush against the hair? Is it at a 45-degree angle as well?
So directly in line with the hair section, like that.
No, I mean the bristles, are they?
Oh, yeah, so I kind of do go down.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah, I don't go like that so much.
You're pointing the bristles downwards.
Yeah, and I think that's what contributes to the fact it's smooth on the top, because I'm not going through the hair like that. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
everybody see my lady? Where are we? There we are. So I'm just going through. Does anybody else struggle with teasing or the adding volume? Now, who was asking about the volume going over? I can't remember who it was.
Crystal Cass.
There you are. There you are. I was like, so I thought I seen Jess, but it wasn't Jess. So when this is what I would do if I was creating that extra volume going over. I'd go right to the eyebrow and then just keep adding that. I'll show you from the front. If you visualize, this is going to continue going over. I'm not going to, I won't brush her out this way, but can you see that amount of volume?
I love it.
So she's got a lot of wild volume. I won't brush this bit out because it won't blend in with the rest of the wave. But imagine if that was all brushed out and then this was all pulled in tight and that was all smoothed out. And you can still have that texture coming through there, and you can piece that up with the texture dust. But that's how I would go through and achieve that extra volume to create that wave. Does that help you?
Yeah, that helps. Thanks. I appreciate that.
All right. So now I'm just going to smooth out that top layer just to really work out that teasing. So I'm not a fan of seam teasing. Oh, she's got lots of volume in there now. All right. So now I go through and just basically smooth out that rest of the hair to calm down the wild mane and just encourage that wave. So I'm just going through and trying to, can you see as I'm just brushing it out, the wave's starting to form? And then I'm just going to start guiding the hair.
Do you ever use an oil product to finish?
I would for a sleek, so again, that would come down to the client's hair. I would use it for if the client had super dry, damaged hair. I would still spray some oil through the ends, especially for a tasseled texture look. It's still going to look ratty on the ends. But for a client that didn't have fine hair, didn't have damaged hair, I wouldn't really use it for a boho look. So it would all come down to what that the look was. Brush out this top bit. What does everybody struggle most with? Creating textured waves or Hollywood, like the typical Hollywood waves?
Typical Hollywood, they just go, they don't match the pattern.
So, like, would you see that?
Yeah, no, I mean, no, that would not happen. They will be just going at different heights.
Yeah, okay, so the waves would be starting in different spots?
Yeah.
Some would be higher and some would be lower?
It's just somehow they just wouldn't match. Like you see how yours is matching the pattern.
Yeah, yeah. That
And
comes
when-
down to your sectioning. So it's
Well, I always just make sure that the sections are even, that I'm consistent, but yeah, probably especially towards the top, if I'm curling like from bottom up and towards the top, it just will not go over the rest of the head.
is the hair have your clients more so got long layers?
Yes.
That will make a massive difference for because long layers, like the hair drops so much, so that's probably why you're finding through the sides that the curls are like bouncing up and it's really nice and wavy, but then through the back here, then they're not. Are you saying that like the wave
Yeah.
doesn't come up? You
Yeah.
have to show me some photos of like your clients that you've really struggled with, if you've got any, and then I can have a look at it and see, because it's really hard to gauge.
Yeah, yeah, I'll send you some photos.
Yeah, send me some photos. I'd love to help you. Okay, so now you can see I've gone through and like smoothed all that out. So what I would do now for a textured wave, mostly we want to go through and smooth out the frizzies, and we don't want any of that like whenever I think of texture, I think of also like frizz. And so I want to go through and really smooth out and create texture that doesn't have frizz. So what I normally do for that is I use my depolishing cream. Has everybody used one of these before?
No. Is it L'Oreal?
Yeah, this is a L'Oreal one. You can get very similar ones, which are like, oh my goodness, I've just realized the time. We have gone for so long. I'm so sorry, guys. Yeah, it's basically like a paste. And so I just go through, I would say it's like a styling cream you could use. And I go through, work it through my hands, and then I just go through the hair.
What is this product
What
called
was it
again?
called? Oh, sorry.
This is called a depolish deconstructing paste. You can get very similar ones like, I think Moroccan Oil do have one. I'm not sure if White Sands have one.
Tame Wild from Osis?
Tame, yeah, I think that is a very similar one. I think I'll have to have a look at it. It's basically any type of paste, like a styling cream or a texture paste. It's really, really fine. There's also one that's, let me just grab it. It's in here. No, I don't have it. NAC do like a luxe cream. That would be really good for if you're going for more like your Hollywood waves, like a smooth polished look. This one's good because it gives it a bit of a mattifying effect, so it's not super, it's not polished. So can you see the difference there? How it's just sort of creating a bit more separation in the curl, if that makes sense. Like
I always try to achieve the smoothness so that there's no separation.
Oh no, so this is, I'm trying to go for right now, I'm not doing a smooth Hollywood wave, I'm going for a textured Hollywood wave. So you do want to have a bit of texture coming through, and by texture I mean like that sort of volume. Do you know what I mean? So to create that, I go
It
through.
just looks softer and more modern, I think.
Yeah. So I just go through and piece it out by pinching and pulling the hair, just to give it that bit more of a modern, voluminous look for the wave. Can you see that? So it's
Does
still
it stay like that?
Pardon?
Does it stay like that?
That's why we pop heaps of product in there.
Okay.
So ideally you want to go through and pinch. So I go through and spray those sections. So then I'd go through and work out the next section. I'm just pinching and pulling it. going through the next section just to create that definition through there. And a bit more volume. Can you see that bit more of a movement coming through? And if you like, on the other side, I can go through and do a bit more of the seamless Hollywood wave. So how I would polish the hair if we were going for more of a sleeker look. Wonderful. So over this side, I'll go through and show you how I would polish the hair. So I'm just going through and spraying it. So when I'm brushing it out, I can then use my hands to shape the wave around the face. This will be different to the other side because I'm going for a super, super sleek, seamless look. And I just keep working the spray. Does everybody struggle with this part, like setting the wave?
My waves usually just don't bounce like yours. It's usually just straight.
Oh, I really want to have
Like
a
you
look. What's that?
Yeah?
I really want to have a
No,
look at your pictures that you have so I can have a look and see what you're
okay,
struggling
I can DM you.
through. Is it through here that you're, even around the face line, that you're struggling to get that bounce?
Yeah, actually it's mostly at the top of the head, the top of the curl. The bottom is usually okay.
Yeah, so I think that's coming down. Is that for mainly your long hair clients?
It was actually on a mannequin as well.
Oh, okay. We're gonna look into that.
Okay.
Perfect. So can you see the difference between the two? So I've gone through and really polished that one over that side, but then gone through and created the texture on this side.
Yeah, it's very nice.
Love that texture.
The texture is amazing. Hey, I love it. And it does, like, okay, so it's probably not going to hold as perfectly like this all day, but the way you can encourage that is by spraying on each side of those ridges. So you're creating more like stiff peaks. But to be honest, what's that, sorry?
Stiff peaks like a perv.
We're back to that. But look how beautiful she is. The texture is gorgeous. Does anybody have any questions?
Yes, I have got a question about how to make this kind of wave with extensions that dramatically different to the client's own hair. I have got a wedding coming up with a bride like this, and we need to match everything. Is there a way of blending natural hair with extensions so that it falls into the same pattern?
Is her hair not, when you say blend, is it going to be cut in?
So basically, she has got very layered hair, and the top section of her own hair is maybe like 10, 15 centimeters long. And we're using extensions to, create the look of the long hair. So her own hair comes down to like below her shoulder blades almost, or shoulder blades, let's say that. But it's like very, very layered. And then when I started curling it, because her own hair is killed with blonde, she just bleached it like in a very bad way, so it's like coarse as a wire, but extensions are nice and soft, and even curling it just curls absolutely different because the wire curls
Yeah.
harder, and then the soft extensions is curling like much softer and looser.
Yes. Yeah, that's hard. I know what you mean because I've had a client that literally just recently that actually had that, and it's really hard to blend in from this section to
Yeah, yes, exactly.
the curl. In that situation, I actually don't, I would use the iron, like I would use an iron to curl. And the reason for that is because I want to almost have more control over where the wave starts. And I always find when I'm curling with a iron that I have more control over that. And so what I would normally do is not actually start curling until closer to where the extension would start, if that makes sense. Because then it's coming down here, and then your extension, is it around about here? I'm just imagining that's where it is.
So yeah, so her own hair finishes about that there, yeah.
And
But
so
I'm clipping the extension higher so that the natural hair covers the extension.
yeah, so you'd have the extension up here, or
Yeah,
something like that, and then
and
the
then,
and then the hair would fall over the top of
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
So I always try and keep that section even to about here, a little bit more smoother because
So basically start curling lower,
lower,
much lower.
yeah, even for the extension as well. So that way, the extension blends in. So you're giving the hair a chance to blend in before the client's, because the client's hair will curl up way tighter than
Yeah,
the extension, and that's why you'll find that difference. So I always try and, especially around this bit, curl that top section less, and
much
then
lower.
yeah,
And
like
we
more,
bring the whole thing much lower.
yeah,
And so her curl pretty much would start like around the shoulder or like mid neck.
yes,
Yeah,
yeah. So that way it's, yeah, definitely,
yeah,
because it
okay.
is really hard to actually blend in that, and
Yeah.
so devastating.
I have like 2 trials, like 1.5 trials I have.
Yeah, I would bring that back
Yeah,
section down and just avoid curling her natural hair in this main halo section.
yeah,
Because obviously the curl can bounce up a little bit more around the face, and you can probably cut in that extension around the face to help that flow. But
Mhm.
yeah, through the back it's really, really hard. All right. Oh, Lordy, I can't believe, Jasmine, that you are awake right now. It is 1 o'clock and you're a mama of 4. I'm just going to have a quick look through the messages and see if I can answer any more questions. And they wonder. Yes, Crystal, such a good question. For bob length hair or hair like medium length hair, I always curl it on an elongated direction. And the reason for that is because you want the curl to fall longer than out, because hair that's this short and curls on a 45-degree angle will bounce up. So you definitely want to still encourage that shape and that length around the face line. I hope that answers your question. Yes, Jasmine, I will pop all of the products in a list for you. Who was that? Did I hear somebody jumping on?
Yeah, I was just going to ask, when you say elongated, is it like more straighter or just kind of keep it like more than 45 degrees?
So elongated would be a section coming down like that, and then I would be curling it on that angle,
Oh,
literally
okay, yeah.
down to the
Thank you.
yeah, rather
I
than, yep.
yeah, I've got so many I saw all the things that I was doing wrong, like, and watching your technique really helped. So I'm really glad that I saw what you did. I could see, like, I probably saw about 10 mistakes that I was doing. I'm like, oh, so yeah, it's good.
So good. Thank you
Yeah,
so much.
no, it's really good. Thank you. I'm probably going to head off too because it's Melbourne. I've got a child as well, but thank you so much.
You are very welcome, lovely. You are
Thank
very
you.
welcome. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
All right, guys. So we are going to wrap it up if there aren't any more questions. I did just want to quickly say, whilst we've got 12 beautiful humans here, I totally get exactly where you're at. It is so fucking hard. I honestly, like I said before, 2 years ago, I was exactly where you were, where I just struggled so much with my waves, and I literally made it a goal to not be feeling the way that you feel right now behind a head of hair. There is nothing worse than trying trials for your brides and you're both defeated. There's nothing worse than seeing their faces be so sad at the end of the day, and it's soul destroying. So just know you're not alone, and I have been there too. And you can create beautiful hair too. You just need to, you're going to get there. You will get there. So I would love to quickly say that I am officially launching a Hairstylist Academy. It's a course that is basically around consistent curls. And it's going to be a 10-week course, and it's 9 weeks of modules, which is basically going through. We dive so deep into all your different techniques and all the different sectioning, identifying your clients' hair textures, hair types, and what their inspo picks are. So you'll be able to look at your client's inspo pick and identify exactly what wave they want and exactly what tools and products you need to achieve it based on their hair type. And after tonight's questions, I just cannot believe that is such a major struggle for all of you. I can really hear that everybody really is struggling with identifying what their client needs to ensure that they can achieve that client that inspo pick. So I'm so excited because this course is literally going to help you. I'm so excited about it. So yes. If you guys are interested, I can pop the link below. I will send an email out with the replay of all of this so you guys can copy it and rewatch it, apart from the epic fail of my presentation that I poured my heart into, FYI. Oh my goodness. But yeah, I just want you to know that I have been exactly where you are, and it's fucking hard. And I was lucky that I had my hairdressing apprenticeship, so I obviously knew that I could identify the hair types and textures, but I'm also aware that there's so many of you. We've got makeup artists, and I've got a hairstylist who hasn't even got a hairdressing background, and she's not even got makeup background, but she is so keen to get into, my bum bun's eating my stuff there, so keen to get into hairstyling. So yeah, we've got such a broad range of people, and I really want to help you. I want you to not feel defeated or deflated or confused or not confident or any of those things. I want you to literally wake up knowing that you are going to nail your hair. You're going to nail the wave. You're going to know exactly what wave your client wants. You're going to know all of the things, the tools, the products, everything that you need to nail it. That is like my absolute dream. So if you guys are interested, I can pop the link below. Let me know if you would like. There are 10 spots available for $100 early bird fee. What is it? Early bird rate off. I can't remember. I've lost my presentation, so I can't even remember what it is. But if this sounds like something that would light you up, I would absolutely freaking love. And if you've gotten value out of tonight, then all I can say is, what will you get out of 10 weeks? In this 10 weeks, I will be basically going through with you 6 different looks, plus we'll be going into the basics of hair knowledge. Then I'll also be providing with you a live feedback, so question and answer session per week, where you can ask me all of the questions for all of the clients, for all of your struggles, and we can really brainstorm on how to help you. So I would absolutely love if everybody who I asked to send me a photo, if you could email me or DM me your photos and we can brainstorm, because honestly that lights me up. It lights me up. So if you could send me those photos, that would be amazing. And yeah, I hope you guys loved tonight. You will get an email which will have all the information about the course, and I really am so happy to hear that you guys took so much away from this. That melts my heart. So thank you so much, everybody. Thank you for listening to me ramble. It has been 2 hours of your precious times, and I cannot believe that you guys stayed up until 1 o'clock in the morning with 4 kids. So I'm so thankful. Thank you guys. And I hope you have a wonderful evening. Bye-bye. I'm not yet. What was that, Alana?
No, I was just saying thank you so much.
Oh, you are so very welcome. Please email me your photos.
Yes, will do.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much, guys. Bye-bye. I need to figure out how to turn this thing off.